Well, hello. I'm so pleased to see you all. It's been quite an exciting week for us fairies. We've celebrated the lunar cycle of Capricorn coming into our realm. This is a very exciting time for us fairies, and we always have a ball, but this particular one we also saw the solar eclipse happen in our realm, which hasn't passed us in over 200 human years. As I've said in the past, our timekeeping is somewhat different to yours. I'm going to have to write a book about it, actually, and come back and tell you about it in great detail, because it's actually quite intricately... Honestly. Anyway, we had a lovely, wonderful grand ball with our neighbouring realm friends. It was most wonderful, and of course the pixie realm stole the show. Thankfully, our Elvian friends helped clear up all the mess. It was all gone by the first morning's mist. They really are a really wonderful realm of truly patient beings. Us fairies could learn so much from their patience, as could somebody else I could mention, but I won't. Anyway, let's find out where Thimble is. Oh yes, she's in a tunnel. Goodness! Thimble shook the dusty earth from her hair and, looking around, saw a vast tunnel with other tunnels coming off it, with fire torches lighting the way. Far in the distance she could make out other tunnels which streamed off into different directions, and Thimble had no idea at all where they all led. She looked around the strange array of corridors and decided that at least the angry crowd above ground couldn't see her down here. No, indeed. "Are you coming?" came a voice in the distance, and the troll reappeared, looking concerned that Thimble was taking so long. He could see that she was a little dazed by the whole experience and decided that he had best introduce himself so that she could at least put her sword away. "I am Stefan," he said with a grin on his face. "Thankfully for you, I am a sand troll and will do you no more harm than a lunar kai." And for the first time since entering the flatlands, Thimble breathed a big sigh of relief. Lowering her sword, she stepped forward into the light. "I am Thimble, and in rather a hurry to find somebody of great importance," she said. But the troll seemed restless and wanted to keep moving. "We'll discuss the finer details when we get to where we're going, shall we?" he grumbled, and all Thimble could do was follow him as he hurried off down the dusty tunnel, hoping very much that he wasn't like Double or Trouble and leading her into danger. I know. She has to have a little bit of trust, I think. The tunnels smelt of earth and were dusty, but seemed sturdy and well burrowed. They could hear the pounding footsteps from the trolls on the flats above their heads as they marched above them. Every now and then some earth would fall from the ceilings, and Thimble was very grateful indeed that she was not still up on the flats, or she was bound to have been captured by them. Yes, dear, dear, dear. On and on the tunnels spiralled, and Thimble was beginning to think that they would just go on forever, when suddenly they paused at a corridor that went off in several different directions. Stefan listened for the sound of the footsteps above to fade, and then took a sharp right down the darkest of all the corridors. Are there no torches down this one?" inquired Thimble. But Stefan didn't reply. He just kept his pace and moved forward down into the dark. Eventually they came to a wooden door at the very end of the tunnel, which was lit by a few large candles. Stefan waited until Thimble had caught him up before slowly opening the hatch, and, taking the lead, Stefan stepped through. "I do hope we're doing the right thing, Twig," whispered Thimble to her trusty wand, who was safely tucked up in the brave fairy's bag. Slowly, she followed Stefan through the big wooden door and out onto the other side, and Thimble could not believe what she saw. Behind that door, and neatly hidden somewhere between the flatlands and the flat mountains, was another secret world of sand trolls, who had built their beautiful city without any of the outside world's knowledge. Goodness me. Thimble had always thought that she was very educated about the lands which lay beyond her valley, and even she had never read or heard about such a place ever existing. She was very clever, actually, very clever indeed, so if Thimble didn't know where it was, then goodness no... Right. Welcome to Valley Keep. Gateway to the paths that lead to Rushay, home of the ancient dryads, said Stefan proudly and bowed to Thimble. In front of them lay sandstone paths that led to sandstone buildings which had been built high into the hillside, and it seemed to go up and up forever. Ivy adorned the stonework everywhere you looked, and the winding streets just looked so magical. There were other sand trolls like Stefan going about their daily tasks, some pushing barrels of fruit and others sweeping the stone paths. No one really seemed to take any notice of their arrival. And Thimble relaxed, deciding that this definitely wasn't a dangerous place at all, although she had no idea how she was going to find Blossom now, and wasn't at all sure how this place fitted into Periwinkle's map. Stefan pointed up the hill and they both started walking up the stone paths towards a large building in the distance which was covered in beautiful plants and had huge trees growing in its front. Thimble remembered what the tree spirits in the blackened forest had told her about the toadstool people who had helped her and how they were the descendants of the dryads of Rushay. "Oh, I have met descendants of Rushay," she said to Stefan. "They helped me through the blackened forest," she continued, pleased that she had something she could talk to the troll about. Stefan looked at her for a moment and smiled. "Then you are truly blessed." And he continued on his path. Up and up they climbed, and finally they reached the sandstone steps of the highest building Thimble had ever seen. "Welcome to my home, Thimble," said Stefan proudly, and was just about to continue up the steps to the great door when Thimble stopped him. "I must ask you, Stefan, what moon is it today? As I have a very important person to find in a very short amount of time, and I now fear I am off the track finding her at all," said Thimble, who was concerned she may be asked to stay for supper, which would have been lovely any other time, but she knew she really had to get back to the quest of finding Blossom. Stefan just carried on walking. "Do not be concerned with time here, Thimble. We are not on the same timeline as other realms." And he beckoned her on. Up they climbed again, this time up steep steps which took them past the horizontal walls of the magnificent building staircase, up to its big old wooden door. Stefan pushed the handle and the door creaked open into a giant hallway filled with candlelight and flowers. Thimble gasped at the grandeur of the troll's home, and everywhere she looked, the rooms were filled with books and strange plants. Finally, they came to a room at the end of a very long corridor, which had an open fire burning in it with huge soft chairs to sit in. "Please make yourself at home," said Stefan. "I'm sure you are hungry and in need of some rest." Thimble was indeed very tired and hungry, but still in the back of her mind was the thought that she must continue on her journey to find Blossomberry or all would be lost. Oh dear, and yes, it would. Stefan gestured to her to sit in a seat by the fire and threw another log on its flames. "I will organise for someone to bring you some food. We will talk in the morning." And with that, he left Thimble feeling very sleepy indeed by the warmth of the fire. She must have drifted off into a very deep sleep and woke with a start as the door opened and a small housemaid entered with a tray of warm bread and hot milk. She placed the food in front of Thimble and stoked the fire. "Thank you," said Thimble. I am most grateful for Stefan's hospitality, but I really, really do have somebody very important I need to find, so I really can't be staying long. She sat up to drink the milk. Stefan is a very kind troll. You are honoured to have been invited here, said the maid, as she made sparks fly up the chimney. He said you were a fairy royal, inquired the maid further. Thimble nearly choked on the milk. Oh, no. No, I am not fairy royalty, at least not yet, and that's why I need to make this visit really, really brief, because there's somebody very important I need to find, or my fate is sealed, sighed Thimble as she picked up a piece of crusty bread and took a bite. The maid seemed intrigued by Thimble's cryptic story, and soon Thimble was telling her all about Queen Lilibelle and Till, and all the adventures she had been on in her quest to find Lady Blossomberry. The maid fell silent and walked over to Thimble's belongings on the floor and held up the sword Lilibelle had given her, so she could have a good look at it in the light. Well, I do declare, she said after a good look at the silver blade, the royal crest of Moorland Valley. And she put the sword back down. Thimble was very surprised indeed that anyone here would have heard of her valley, and was more than delighted to finally meet somebody who knew where she was from. Yes, the moorland is my home, said Thimble, and the maid came closer. Thimble could see that she wasn't a sand troll like Stefan at all, and really, by all accounts, she looked very familiar and rather lovely. Her hair was waist-length with soft curls, and its auburn tones shone in the light from the fire. Thimble also noticed that she was dressed in a silk dress, tied in rows of bows at the back, and it occurred to her that it was most unusual for a maid to wear such finery. The maid came closer to Thimble and in a soft voice said, "Your quest is nearly over, Fairy Brave." But Thimble just looked at her, rather confused for a moment, as right now she knew she was miles away from home with absolutely no idea where she actually was at all. If only that were true, said Thimble, and was just about to explain about Periwinkle's map and Valley Keep being so secret that he hadn't included it on his scroll, when she noticed the maid was smiling about something. Thimble, said the maid, and she came even closer to Thimble's chair. I am Blossomberry and cousin to Queen Lilibelle. Your quest is nearly over, Thimble. You have found me. Goodness me! Well, I wasn't expecting that. No, I'm not... Oh, those are the calling birds. Goodness me, their timing was bad today. Oh, I'm going to have to go. But I know you'll want to come back next time to find out how on earth this has happened. Goodness. Well, it's good news by all accounts, really. Yes, I know. I'm rather excited. Oh, what a wonderful week it's been. Lunar balls and solstices. Anyway, until next time, take very good care of yourselves. And remember, don't stop believing. Thimble didn't. Especially in you.